Welcome. In this module, we're going to continue to the second part of the critical security control from CIS, control number 6, which is maintenance, monitoring, and analysis of audit logs. This is the graphic showing the overall CIS controls version 7, the layout, and there are 6 basic controls, 10 foundational, and then there are 4 organizational controls. And I'd like to mention that there are other categorizations as well. Apart from basic, foundational, and organizational, the controls are divided into certain categories, for example, network controls or application controls, for example. So continuing with the CIS security controls number 6, we are now on 6.5, which refers to central log management. And the control tells us, ensure that appropriate logs are being aggregated to a central log management system for analysis and review. So the idea of the central log management system is that the entire set of logs should actually reach a central server so that the entire set of logs can centrally be managed. The space can be managed, which is obviously related, the space and the storage, those can be managed, and the backups, if they're required, can be managed, the archiving can be managed, and we can also view that the entire set of logs are being generated from all the devices, from all the sources. So it's much easier. For example, there may be 5,000 IT assets, or there may be 1,000 IT assets in the network, and or there may be, for example, 500 servers in your data center, and it's very difficult to go and check on each server that the logging is enabled, but it's much easier to aggregate the logs from the 500 servers onto a central device and make sure that the logging is all happening, and then that all the logs are being managed in terms of security, in terms of space, in terms of the timestamp, and all the other factors. So control 6.6 tells us deploy security information and event management, or SIEM, or log and analysis tool, or an analytical tool. And here the control tells us deploy security information and event management or log analytic tool for log correlation and analysis. Now, in security, what we actually have to do is if there is an incident, or if there has been a fraud, or if there has been a disruption in the network, or if there's been abuse or misuse in the network, and we want to go back and look at the audit trail and the logs trail to try to determine what has happened, what's important is to look and determine the root cause analysis. What exactly was the root cause that caused the disruption? And sometimes what happens in a disruption or a hack is that there is an event, and then there are ripple effects. Because of one event, there may be other effects, and that may all those may generate logs. But you really have to go back and see what is the root cause. And then you also have to correlate that what exactly happened. For example, if there was a hack attempt on your perimeter firewall, you really need to see that what happened on the edge router, what happened on the perimeter firewall, and what exactly happened on the DMZ server device on which there was a hack attempt. So the traffic may have flowed from the perimeter router through the firewall and into the DMZ device, and a hacking attempt may have hit your web server, for example. So our attempt will be to look at the logs to try to determine that what traffic originating from which source actually flowed and first of all hit the edge router, and then which access list entry in our firewall actually allowed that traffic to flow through, and then the logging on the server would have told us if there was an attempt to try to gain escalated privilege on that server. So and really we're trying to see what has happened as the traffic flowed, and try to determine the root cause. So if the logs are all being aggregated on a central server, or a central logging server, a central analytical log analytical server, or a SIEM solution, security information event management, then we can, because all the logs are in one place, are in one server or in one location, it's easy for us to run filters and checks. And we can, for example, we can run a query and say that show all the logs on the firewall which happened between this particular time frame, or originating from this source, or going to this destination. And it's easy to see and correlate the logs and try to determine that how the event actually played out. And the next control, 6.7, really says regularly review the logs. And this is very important because, and it's also very difficult and challenging. So a discipline needs to be built up so that every week, every month, every fortnight, the logs on critical devices are being viewed. So an event may happen, logs may be generated, an incident may actually occur, and it may not be noticed because no one is actually checking the logs. It's very important to check logs on a regular basis in order to determine anomalies. What has happened which is a deviation from the norm? Has there been a surge in the logs? Was there a particular activity that happened at a time when there should have been no internal activity because the office was shut down? Was there an activity? Is that an anomalous, or is that something that has happened which is away from the norm or a deviation? And lastly, 6.8, regularly tune the SIEM. So regularly tune the Security Information Event Management System, and on a regular basis, tune your SIEM system to better identify actionable events and decrease event noise. So there's a number of logs, and hundreds and usually thousands of logs. And then what this control really asks us is that the Security Information Event Management System, which is a more intelligent software solution or tool, which not only gathers the logs like a syslog server, but like an analytical logging server, it has a dashboard and it has a built-in set of correlation and root cause analysis configuration or tools, and you can actually press those buttons, or you can click on the available options in the SIEM, and it actually makes life easier for you because it tries to tell you what is actually happening, and it has some intelligence built in. And by looking at for example, the dashboard, it will tell you that on your Windows servers how many events were there, or on your network devices how many events were there, and what is the deviation from the norm. So the SIEM actually is different from a basic syslog server because it has some more intelligence built in, and it's easier to operate, and it has some more rules options available, and you can pick those up, or it has some more profiling done already. So it's important to regularly tune the SIEM so we can take maximum advantage from it. That's all for this module. Thank you.